Dear all, welcome to Civil Services with ZAKI. Today we are going to discuss about the what factor influenced the global wind. So as we discuss about the Coriolis impact, pressure gradient and all that in our previous lecture. So now we move forward and see how this factor influence the global wind pattern as you see here, and basically as you know we provide you a significant and important animation so you can clear your concept in geography, ecology, environment and science and tech, because these topic and these subject are basically very great if you add visual impact such type of this type of the animation. So let's today's topic, what factor influence the global wind pattern, and as you know it is related to the major geographical concept series. So as you know we move forward and see here what factor influence the global wind pattern. So as you know, as in our previous video you learned about what is insolation. So insolation warm up the equatorial region more than the pole and setting up a pressure difference, it means pressure gradient, and that drive a large scale atmospheric circulation. So it is provide a large scale atmospheric circulation. When set in motion, the moving air is acted upon the Coriolis by the Coriolis effect. So these air affected by the Coriolis effect, as you know our previous video on the Coriolis effect, and by the friction with the earth surface. As you know, earth is not smooth. Some places are great mountains, some places are plain, and some places are the various different topographic structure. So these factors combined produce a curving pattern of circulating wind, and that dominate wind directions and climate and weather. So it is basically these wind are very significant for the climate, for the weather, and predict the wind direction, and also in the future of the wind energy production. So let's move forward and see a step by step. So first we understand the earth rotation and deflection. So how these wind deflected by the rotation of the earth, as we already discussed about the in our previous video about the Coriolis effect. So see here, as you know, the earth receive insolation by the sunlight. So see here, so equatorial region receive more sunlight that do area closer to the poles. So this area receive more sunlight, this area less, and this area very less. So as earth rotate, as we know earth rotate, the sun's heat form a band of warm, so see this type of the band of the warm air that encircle globe and re-energized the sunlight each day. So that it's re-energized by the sunlight each day. So each day that's why it's circulate. So we move forward and see here. So after that, as we know, the wind at the equator, so equatorial air warm and rises and flow to the north or south. As we know, we see here where the low pressure, it means they diverge wind. So at the equator they diverge either north or either south from the equator, either north or either south from the equator. So after these air low pressure, so it means surface air move here to fill the gap. So air at the surface flow towards the equator to replace the air rises. So the Coriolis effect and the Coriolis effect deflect this equatorial flowing surface wind toward the west. So this is deflected by the west. So that type of wind produced near the equatorial region. So we move forward and see these flow of air combined into a huge tube set cell and circulating wind called circulation cell. So these air rises and so these create a cell, circulating cell, air circulating cell. And basically if you see our earth has three this type of the circulating cell. One is called, from here it is called Hadley cell. Further this cell called Hadley cell, this cell called Ferrel cell, and this here cell called polar cell. So basically these three type of the cell: Hadley cell, Ferrel cell and polar cell. So these wind are circulating in a cell called circulation, and it is called circulating cells. So if you see a very fast moving airflow along the boundaries of these cells. So see here the boundary, and a fast moving this type of the cell, and it is called jet stream. So it is subtropical jet stream, it is polar jet stream. So these area are circulated by these fast flowing air, and it is called jet stream. So it is called jet stream. So basically jet stream, and we also provide you a single special video on jet stream. Then you must subscribe our channel and tell your friend about our initiation, so we can provide you the each and every concept in the geography, ecology, environment and science and tech, so you can easily crack the civil services examination. So we move forward and see the prevailing wind, and basically we see the prevailing wind. And prevailing wind, basically these wind are the permanent wind. These wind are also called the planetary wind. So these planetary wind or prevailing wind are static, and basically these are the permanent wind. So see here, so these type of, if you go to the, so if wind direction is referred by the direction which is coming, so which coming from wind coming from which direction, the wind name by the type of the direction. So if wind coming from the west is called westerly, wind coming from the east called easterly. So the direction of the wind determined by the name of the wind, like the westerly, easterly and polar easterly and all that. So a wind coming from the west is said to be the west wind, or wind that generally blow from the west is called commonly westerly wind. So westerly wind and westerly wind are the very significant for the weather in the European countries, United States and other subtropical region countries. So we move forward and see here, and see it is also a wind from coming from the pole to the this area, it means subtropic area, and these winds are called polar easterly. So polar region receive, as we know, less solar insolation. Polar area receive less solar insolation, it means less heating, least heating, and are very cold. So surface wind move away from the poles due to the high pressure. So these area is high pressure zone. So carrying cold air with them, so polar and produce a wind called polar easterly, this wind. And if you see these wind have the North Pole or even the South Pole blow away from the large apparent deflection. So here deflection is large. Why? Due to the Coriolis effect. And Coriolis effect larger at the pole, that means it's deflect larger area. So towards the west, because Coriolis effect is strong at high altitude. If you go to the high latitude, then you go to the greater Coriolis effect. If you want to know more about the Coriolis effect, then watch our previous video on the specific video on the Coriolis effect. So we move forward and see here. Another things is the easterly wind, and as you know, first westerly because westerly is very significant wind for the European countries, United States and etc. So see, westerly dominate in the central west across the US, Europe, these area, United States, these area, Europe's. So these area dominated by these westerly wind, So the Europe, if you see the Europe, weather in these areas generally move from west to east. So these move from west to east, and in somehow it's also impact in Indian subcontinent by the western disturbance, as you hear about the western disturbance. So all that topic and all concept, then you must subscribe our channel if you are new, and if you are already subscribed, then tell your friends and colleagues, because our subscription speed is very slow. So as you know, this type of the animation and how I work hard for this type of the animation and this type of the graphics. So let's move forward and see here. Now we move forward and see the northeast trade wind, and basically it is called commonly easterly. So it is northeast trade wind, blow from the northeast, and where basically it is blow from the northeast and deflected this area, and it is called northeast trade wind. And basically this trade wind is named by the sailor. So remember one thing, here trade is not in English. Here trade is not in English language. It means trade. No, it is not trade. It is in German. It means trade means path. So here trade means path. So sailor discover the path, and that's why it is called trade wind. Trade winds means path, not trade. Remember one thing. So this concept is very significant due to that several times UPSC asked trade wind means trade. No, trade means path. So basically these sailors took the advantage of the wind to sail the so-called new world to old world to new world. So they sail old world to discover the new world, so discover new path. That's why it is called trade in German. So if you translate into English, it is called path wind. So a new world. So let's move forward and see here another this type of the southeast trade wind also found in the southern hemisphere. So southeast trade wind blow from the southeast toward the equator, and they both wind coming from the from the north or south, they conserve or meet near the equator, and this area is a very stormy boundary, and these stormy boundary are called intertropical convergence zone. In short, we can call it ITCZ. ITCZ play very significant role in our monsoon, our weather phenomenon, and all that. So this area is called ITCZ. So where easterly from the north, easterly from the south meet, and this area called intertropical convergence zone. So we also see an animation for this. So after animation, you can clear your concept about these wind pattern across the global wind pattern. So let's move forward and see another thing. These type of the westerly, as we know about the westerly impact the Europe and United States and all other subtropical region in the northern hemisphere. So this type of and that type of the basically these westerly also found in the southern hemisphere, and as you know the westerly also occur in the southern hemisphere and are locally very strong. So the westerly in the southern hemisphere is stronger than the northern hemisphere. Why? Because as you know they mostly over the ocean, a few continent, so generate friction. So it means some few continent or island in this area, so the friction, basically the friction, so we disturb the wind is less. So less is means the velocity of these wind are very strong in the southern hemisphere. So if such type of the question if asked by the UPSC, which westerly is strong, northern hemisphere or southern hemisphere, then you answer it in the southern hemisphere because lack of much part of the terrestrial land. So after that, as you know, some type of the polar easterly also found, polar easterly also found in the southern hemisphere. So these are the basically wind and wind pattern. So we see the animation and understand how these wind circulate and create the atmospheric circulation. So see here, it is an animation. So see here, global wind pattern. As we know, the most of the solar radiation basically, if we see here, received by these area, equatorial area. So if you see here, see here. So if you assume our Earth is not rotating planet, so if our Earth is not rotate, it means there is only then there will be only one cell, this type of the one cell. But as we know about that our Earth is rotating, rotating, it means after rotation is it converted into the three cells. So see here, three cells. It is a static Earth. If and as we know Earth is not static, so Earth, here you see Earth rotate, and after rotation of the Earth it converted into three circulating cell, basically in the both direction. It is Hadley, it is Ferrel, and it is polar. So these three cells, and you see here a tube-like structure, and basically it is a web-like structure. It is It is called Rossby waves. So these wave-like structure called Rossby waves, and you see here fast blowing wind. These wind are called jet stream. These are jet stream. These wind are jet stream. These are called Rossby waves, and these are jet stream. So see the animation. And this is our easterly, and as you saw, this is westerly, and these are the three cells model. So as we know, our earth is not as a whole because they are has various type of the topographic features. So the real wind is circulating this type. So if you want to know more about the local wind, global wind and etc, then you join our regular class in the various classes, various coachings like Career Plus, Super Study IAS and all others. So that's all about the what factor influence the global pattern. So it is global wind pattern. So thanks for watching this video. Before we going to stop this lecture, once again I request you to circulate this video and also tell your friend. If you have any question regarding the ecology, environment and geography, then you write in the comment box and also you can contact me. And also don't forget to subscribe this channel because we provide you a series of lecture on the physical geography, human geography and all that, and also ecology and environment, which is very significant for the civil services examination. So thanks a lot.